and welcome back to Alfa Art Gallery's Meet the Artist series. My name is Chelsea Dunn, and I'm a photo video intern at the gallery. Today, I'm joined by Stephen Kushner. He's an exhibiting artist in our upcoming New Brunswick Art Salon photography exhibition. Hi, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm glad to hear it. For my first question, I would like to ask you about your interests in fine art photography. Have you always been interested in photography, and what led you to pursue a career as a professional photographer?
So I should begin by saying that this is something that is later in my life that I've been doing this. I'm an ordained rabbi. I served the synagogue here in New Jersey for close to 40 years. And near the end of my working as a rabbi, I knew that I had to do something after retirement. And it didn't take long for me to come to the conclusion that I wanted to pursue photography seriously. I'm not a professional photographer. I don't make a living at it. I've always loved taking pictures. Now I'm living my life of making pictures. And so, although I've been taking pictures since I was a teenager, it's only been in the last 8 years that I've devoted myself seriously to the craft of photography.
Awesome. After reading your artist statement, I noticed you have a strong admiration and appreciation for seeing the beauty in our daily, mundane lives. What's something you do in your daily life that can be overlooked by others, but has become something you always look forward to?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I don't know that there's a connection between what I do in my daily life and my gravitating toward photographing the ordinary or the mundane. What I would say is that lots of my fellow photographers look for beautiful pictures of whether it's landscapes or portrait photography or sunsets. I mean, stuff that people like to hang on their walls, and I enjoy that too. But I would say that I'm particularly drawn to finding beauty in things that most people just walk on by. And this is not unique to me. I think there are a lot of photographers who do this, but particularly I'm drawn to the work of photographers such as William Eggleston and Stephen Shore, who really have brought this whole idea of photographing the banal, the ordinary things of life. So to bring it all around, I would say to you that there's beauty in everything if you look for it.
Your work in street photography shares many similarities with an influential genre scene paintings from 17th century Europe. Do you incorporate any techniques from painting into your photography?
Well, I do, and I love the question. I've always been enamored with the 17th century painters like Vermeer and Rembrandt, and particularly Vermeer, who I think transformed the art world in that up to that time period, most painters painted biblical scenes or they did portrait work, but Vermeer painted just street scenes or interiors, but of just ordinary, everyday people. And that is what is meant by genre painting. So in that same sense, and as much as I've said I like to take pictures of the ordinary, at heart, I'm a street photographer. And so I like to take pictures of people. But if I'm successful at it, then the pictures, like those painters, need to tell a story. And that's what genre art does. There's a narrative. There's a story behind whatever's happening in that scene. Now, with that said, Rembrandt in particular was brilliant at his use of a style of painting called, and I hope I pronounce this right, chiaroscuro. And chiaroscuro, it's an Italian word, and it's about the contrasts between, in a scene, of something that's very dark and then areas that are very bright. And I'm drawn to that photographically as well. So a lot of my photographs reflect this chiaroscuro aspect of areas of darkness and bright light. And I'll just add that photography particularly lends itself to this because, of course, photography is all about light. That's what the word means. It's light drawing. So I'm drawn to that. And that was something that was very typical in the 17th century.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is.
As someone who has keen interest in their surroundings, is there a certain energy or aura you look for when seeking out your next subjects to photograph?
No, I don't think so. I think that being a street photographer, and I've often of late been characterizing myself as practicing observational photography. And what does that mean? It means I'm just always looking, and it might be I'm drawn to shadows, or I'm drawn to some activity of people on the street. So it requires a lot of an ability to just simply pay attention, and that's what I'm drawn to more than anything else. If there's movement, my eye quickly catches it. Is that so? I'll always have my camera at the ready.
You also mentioned, in your artist statement, you also mentioned your active roles as a congregational rabbi for more than half a century. How has your position as a rabbi impacted your work in photography? Are there any intersections between the two?
There is. Look, for one, to be a congregational rabbi, you have to be comfortable interacting with people. So, and particularly with people who you're not familiar, strangers. So, while it doesn't necessarily come to me naturally, I don't think well, maybe I am outgoing more than I think I am, but even for me, it's a little anxiety provoking to simply walk up to someone and say, can I take your picture? But having been a rabbi for a long time, I've learned to do that. So that's helpful. But I will also add that I kind of look at photography as being like a spiritual practice for me. And that the things that one does religiously, and it doesn't make a difference. Look, yes, I was a congregational rabbi for many, many years, the majority of my adult life. But it's not just about being Jewish. It's about any religion. They all will tell you that spiritual practice is about learning to be focused. It's about being able to pay attention. And I think to be a really good photographer, you have to do all of those things. It's not just about looking, it's about seeing. So there are a lot of elements in spiritual practice that I think translate over into the photograph.
Through your exploration of observational photography, have you noticed any surprising patterns throughout the subjects you've photographed?
No, I don't think there's nothing surprising, other than, by and large, people are unpredictable, particularly if I'm doing street photography and I'm doing what we call environmental portraiture, meaning I'm taking portraits of people, but when they're on the street, when they're in their own environment, some people are very open to that, and then sometimes people are very resistant to it, and can even be hostile about, get away from me, don't take my picture kind of thing. So I don't know that there's anything surprising about it.
In your quest for finding meaning in the mundane, what has been the most meaningful moment you've captured during your journey so far?
Well, to be sure, time I catch a moment, and I mean a moment where something is happening and something, whether it's intimate or significant to the people that I'm photographing, that's important, that's significant. But with that said, there's one photograph I took recently that I loved, and I'm walking my dog, and my dog likes to sniff everything. And as I'm walking down the street, I live in Jersey City, and I see on the other side of the street, there's a woman walking her dog. And behind her, maybe, I don't know, 10 paces behind her, is her daughter, and she's a toddler. And the daughter is holding her umbrella, a little umbrella like this overhead. It was a drizzly day. And so here I am walking my dog, and I'm seeing them come toward me. And I knew at that moment I wanted to take that picture. But I also knew that it's not just a question of, okay, I see them, let me take the picture. It's, I want to get them in the right spot, which means I have to get in the right spot. So, and I like to shoot straight on. Ideally, that's a lot of my photographs are straight on shots. So I see them walking along the sidewalk, and I see that they're going to be walking up to this corner place. So I have to get across from that corner, and I have to do it quickly, and I'm pulling my dog to do this, and I got my camera in my hand, and it's a manual focus camera, so I've got I've got about 1 second to get this shot. And I don't mean 1 second to get there. So once I get to that spot, I've got my only chance, because they're walking, they're moving, and I got it. And yeah, it was great that I got the picture. But I think even more important than that was that I caught this wonderful moment. This mother, she's walking her dog, and you can see from the picture that because of the fact that her toddler daughter is like 10 paces behind her, the mother is granting her daughter the freedom to be independent. And with the little one holding the umbrella, it's just this, it was a wonderful scene. So that is a moment that particularly brings me a lot of pleasure, even now, so much time later, to look at it and say, yeah, I got that shot.
What do you think makes a photograph meaningful?
What makes a photograph meaningful? If it tells a story. I think that there are a lot of beautiful photographs, a lot of beautiful paintings. I mean, artwork is about the aesthetic of beauty, but particularly for photographs where we catch moments. And if that moment, and it's clear that we're really getting that moment where something is happening, and it's not just, today, when you take pictures on the street, I'm going to say more than 75% of the time, maybe even closer to 80 or 90%, people are holding cell phones. I hate that, because it's like, okay, you're looking at a cell phone. So when you're able to get a scene that something is really happening other than somebody looking at a cell phone, then it's really very special. So for me, that's the magic thing. Catching a moment where something is happening.
Are there any people or places you are looking forward to photographing in the future?
The great thing about liking to shoot the ordinary and doing street photography is I can do it anywhere. I just came back from Europe, where I was visiting my mother-in-law, and she lives in Switzerland right on the Italian border, and so there's lots of stuff. It's great for doing the kind of photography I like to do. But there's also a part of me, I do like to shoot landscape photography, although I will fully admit I'm not a landscape photographer. And so therefore there are some places in the world that I haven't been to that I would love to go to. So I'd love to go to Iceland, because it's just, the landscape is so powerful and beautiful. But I've never been to the Far East, to Asia, and I would welcome that opportunity as well.
For my final question, how would you describe your photography in 3 words?
Well, through my eyes. That's, if you practice observational photography, then my pictures are showing what I see. And if I'm successful at it, my pictures are, not everybody who takes a picture gets, and I include myself in this group, gets what they actually see. So if I'm successful at it, you're looking through my eyes.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for taking the time out of your day to give us a better insight into your work and artistic process.
You're very welcome.
We're thrilled to showcase your work in the exhibition.
Delighted to have some of my photographs that will be shown here at the Alfa Gallery.